The classroom was full of noise when the alien girl entered. Everyone was laughing, talking, and sharing food. But the moment she stepped in, the room grew silent. Chairs moved, people covered their noses. And one by one, they began to leave. She lowered her head, her long silver hair falling like a curtain over her face. She knew this routine too well. Wherever she went, the same thing happened. Her scent spread through the air, invisible but strong. It was something she could not control. And it always made people step back, to her kind. The scent was strange and heavy. It made them feel dizzy or sick, to humans. It was worse, they said. It smelled unnatural. Like something rotten. Because of this, no one ever sat near her. No one ever spoke to her. She was an outcast. Living in silence while the world moved without her, the alien girl sat in the last row, hugging her bag close to her chest. She stared at her desk, trying not to cry. Her heart carried years of rejection, and her shoulders carried the weight of being unwanted. She remembered the cruel whispers, the way children ran away from her, and the way even her own family treated her like a burden. But today, something different happened. One human soldier, who had come to the academy for training, did not leave. He was tall, broad-shouldered, and carried himself with quiet strength. His name was Daniel, unlike the others. He did not move away. Instead, he looked at her with curious eyes. The alien girl noticed him watching. Her first thought was fear. She thought he would insult her or laugh at her like the others. She kept her gaze low, wishing she could vanish into the walls, but he did not speak. He simply stayed in his seat. Breathing slowly, minutes passed, and the tension in the room grew heavy. Everyone else had already left, leaving only the alien girl and the human. The silence was painful. She could hear her own heartbeat. She wondered, why does he not leave? Doesn't he feel the same disgust? Daniel leaned forward, his elbows resting on the desk. He took a deeper breath, his eyes widened slightly. But instead of disgust, there was a strange softness in them. He closed his eyes for a moment, as if trying to remember something. Then he whispered, almost to himself, "It smells like home." The alien girl froze. She looked up quickly, her golden eyes wide with shock. She thought she misheard him. Nobody had ever said anything like that before. She had only known rejection. But this human's words were different. She hesitated, her voice trembling. "You don't hate it." Daniel shook his head slowly. "No," he said. "It reminds me of something I lost long ago." His voice was calm, steady, filled with memory. "When I was a child on Earth, my mother kept a garden. There were flowers with a strong fragrance. Everyone said they were too much, but to me, they were beautiful. Your scent. It feels like that." Tears burned behind her eyes. She had never heard kindness like this before. For so long, her existence felt like a curse. But this human, this stranger saw something precious in what everyone else despised. The door opened, and a group of students peeked inside. They saw Daniel sitting beside her, and their faces twisted in disbelief. "Is he crazy?" one whispered. "He's sitting near her." Another shook his head. "Humans are strange." The alien girl's heart pounded. She wanted to tell him to leave before they mocked him too, before he became an outcast like her. But Daniel did not move. He remained there, calm and unbothered. For the first time in her life, she felt a spark of warmth, like a small flame in the cold darkness of rejection. She did not know who this human really was, or why her scent reminded him of home, but one thing was clear: he was different. The rest of the day passed with whispers and rumors spreading through the academy. People said the human soldier had gone mad. They said he was risking his health by sitting near her. But Daniel ignored them all. As night fell, the alien girl lay awake in her small room, replaying his words in her mind. "It smells like home." She whispered to herself, A tiny smile touched her lips for the first time in years. She did not know what tomorrow would bring. She only knew that for the first time, someone had not run away, and that one human had seen her not as cursed, but as precious. The next morning. Whispers filled the academy halls. Everyone was talking about the strange scene from yesterday. A human soldier had sat near the alien girl, the girl everyone avoided. The story spread like fire, and students stared at Daniel wherever he went, but Daniel did not care. He walked with calm steps. His eyes steady, his shoulders strong. He had seen war. He had faced fear. And the gossip of students did not shake him. Still, he could feel the eyes on him. The unspoken question, why did he not run from her? The alien girl entered the hall. Quietly, as she always did, her gaze stayed on the floor. Her arms wrapped around her books. She expected the same thing as every day. People moving away, whispers rising, the same cycle of rejection, and yes, it happened. Chairs scraped back. Students covered their noses, and a circle of empty space formed around her. But then she looked up, and there he was again, Daniel, sitting. In the same spot as yesterday, he gave her a small nod. Calm and sure. She froze in place, her heart racing. She thought yesterday had been a mistake, a moment of curiosity that would pass. But he was still here, still near, still unafraid. She sat down slowly, uncertain. Her hands trembled as she opened her notebook. Around them, the whispers grew louder. Why is he doing this? Humans are strange. He'll regret it soon. The alien girl wanted to tell him to leave, to protect him from being mocked like she was. But when she opened her mouth, the words refused to come. Daniel leaned toward her just slightly. His voice was low, steady, almost gentle. You should ignore them, he said. She turned her head, confused. Why? She asked softly. He smiled faintly. Because they don't understand. Her chest tightened. She had heard many words in her life, harsh ones, cruel ones, words that cut like blades. But his voice was different, calm like a river, solid like a stone. For the first time, someone told her not to believe the whispers, not to carry the weight of rejection. Still, she shook her head. You don't know what it's like, she whispered, since I was a child. They moved away from me. They said I was cursed. They said I should not exist. She clenched her fists. I tried to hide. I tried to wash the scent away. I tried everything. But nothing worked, so I stayed alone. Daniel listened without interrupting. His eyes held no judgment, only patience. Finally, he said, I know what loneliness feels like. She looked at him with disbelief. How could you know? He leaned back, his gaze far away. I fought in the outer colonies, he said. War leaves scars you cannot see. Sometimes, being human among aliens made me feel like a stranger. Too different, unwanted. The alien girl blinked. His words echoed inside her. She had never imagined a human soldier could understand even a part of her pain. But there he was, sitting beside her, speaking of loneliness in the same breath. As she did, before she could reply, a loud voice echoed across the hall. Daniel. A senior alien cadet marched over, his expression twisted in disgust. What are you doing near her? He demanded. Do you want to get sick? Do you want to end up like her? His words carried weight. And others nodded in agreement. Daniel stood slowly, towering over the cadet. His eyes were calm, but there was steel in his voice. I am not sick, he said, and she is not dangerous. The cadet sneered, you humans are reckless. Stay away from her if you value your place. Here. The alien girl's heart pounded. She wanted to beg him to leave, to stop defending her before he made enemies. But Daniel only crossed his arms. Maybe I value truth more than comfort, he said quietly. Then he sat back down, ignoring the cadet's glare. The cadet walked away, muttering curses. The room buzzed with whispers, but Daniel did not flinch. He simply looked at her again and said, "They fear what they don't understand." Her eyes filled with tears. No one had ever defended her before. No one had ever stood between her and the cruel words. And yet this human, who had every reason to avoid her, stayed by her side. That night, she sat in her small room again, replaying every moment, the whispers, the insults, the threat from the cadet, but above all, Daniel's words, "She is not dangerous." The phrase echoed in her heart like a shield. For the first time, she began to wonder. Could it be true? Could her scent, the curse that had made her an outcast, be something other than a burden? She closed her eyes, remembering the way he had said it smelled like home, and deep inside, a fragile hope began to grow. The alien girl had never spoken so many words to anyone before, for years. She had hidden her voice behind silence, believing that no one cared to hear her story. But now, after 2 days of seeing the human soldier refuse to leave her side, something inside her began to crack. She sat at her desk in the empty study hall. Daniel beside her. His presence was quiet but steady, like a wall that would not fall no matter how much weight pressed against it. She wanted to tell him everything, yet fear gnawed at her. What if he left after hearing her truth? What if his kindness was only temporary? Finally, she whispered, "Do you really want to know what it's like to be me?" Daniel turned his head, his eyes calm. "Yes," he said simply. No judgment, no hesitation, only a promise in his voice. She drew in a shaky breath, her hands gripped her notebook tightly. "Since I was small, they called me cursed," she began. Her voice trembled. "My family was the first. My parents tried to cover my scent with herbs, oils, and strange medicines. Nothing worked. They sent me 2 healers, 2 scientists, but all said the same thing: it cannot be changed. So my parents stopped hugging me. My siblings stopped playing with me, and soon I stopped trying." Daniel listened without moving. His gaze never left her. She took that as a sign to continue. "In school, children would laugh," she whispered. "They would hold their noses and pretend to faint. They made songs about me, ugly words that followed me everywhere. I begged teachers to help, but even they stepped back. None of them wanted me near. The only place I could be was alone." Her eyes glistened, but she did not look away. "I tried to fight it once," she said. "I thought maybe if I was smart, if I studied harder, if I became strong, they would see me. But no matter what I did, the scent followed me. It was like a shadow that chained me down, and soon I gave up. I thought maybe I was not meant to belong anywhere." Daniel's jaw tightened. He could see the years of pain carved into her words. He thought of the battlefield, of men who carried scars that no medicine could heal. She was the same, wounded in ways invisible but deep. The alien girl lowered her voice further. "Sometimes," she whispered, "I wished I could disappear. To stop being a burden to everyone. Even my own family was happier when I was away. Do you know what it feels like when your own blood pretends you don't exist?" Daniel's hands clenched into fists under the table. He wanted to shout, to curse the world that treated her so cruelly. But he stayed silent, letting her speak, letting her pour out the weight she had carried alone for so long. Her golden eyes flickered toward him. "So tell me, human," she said bitterly, "why do you stay? Why don't you leave like the others? You'll only end up hated too. They'll laugh at you, mock you, even turn against you. Just like they did to me." Daniel leaned forward, his voice low but firm. "Because I don't see what they see." She blinked, confused. "What do you mean?" He took a breath. "When others smell something strange, I smell something that feels like home when they see a curse. I see someone strong enough to survive every rejection and still stand here. That is not weakness, that is strength." Her lips parted, but no words came. No one had ever called her strong before. She had only ever been called cursed, broken, unwanted, and yet this human soldier, with steady eyes and steady voice, called her something else entirely. Tears slipped down her cheeks. She quickly wiped them away. Ashamed, but Daniel shook his head. "Don't hide it," he said softly. "Your pain is real, and so is your worth." The door creaked open, and once again, whispers filled the hall. A group of students passed by, sneering. "Look at them," one said. "The cursed girl and the foolish human. What a pair!" Another laughed cruelly. "Maybe he lost his sense of smell in battle. That's why he can stand her." The alien girl's heart sank. She waited for Daniel to finally give up, to finally walk away, but he did not. He turned to the group, his eyes sharp. "You don't understand what you're mocking," he said. Coldly, "One day you will see that what you reject may be the very thing you need most." His words carried a quiet fire, and the students fell silent, uneasy under his gaze. When they were gone, the alien girl stared at him in disbelief. Her voice was a whisper. "Why do you defend me?" Daniel smiled faintly. "Because I know what it's like to be left alone, and I will not let you face that alone anymore." Her chest tightened, her heart beating faster for the first time in her life. She felt the fragile threads of trust beginning to weave together. The loneliness she had carried for years was still there, but now it was no longer endless. She looked at him, eyes shining with something new. "Maybe you're different after all," she whispered, and deep within her, a quiet spark of hope began to grow into something she had never dared to feel before: faith. The academy could not stay silent for long. Whispers turned into rumors, and rumors turned into warnings. Everyone had seen the human soldier sitting near the alien girl, and they could not understand it. To them, it was madness. To them, it was dangerous. The alien girl felt the weight of it growing heavier each day. Every hallway she walked through was filled with eyes watching. Every classroom echoed with whispers. Why is he still near her? Doesn't he know she's cursed? Humans are reckless. The voices stabbed her heart again and again. She wanted to tell Daniel to stop, to stay away before the pressure crushed him too, but each time she saw him sitting calmly by her side, she could not speak. He carried himself with a strength that made her silence break apart. One afternoon, as they sat together in the training yard, a group of alien cadets approached. Their leader, a tall figure with sharp eyes, stepped forward. His voice was cold. "Human soldier," he said, "you disgrace yourself by sitting with her." Daniel looked up slowly, his gaze steady. "Why is that?" The cadet sneered. "Her scent is poison. It marks her as cursed. If you value your future, you will leave her." The alien girl lowered her head, shame burning in her chest. She knew this confrontation was coming, and she wished Daniel would walk away now before it grew worse. But he didn't. He stood up, his tall frame casting a shadow over the cadet. "She is not poison," Daniel said firmly. "You only fear what you don't understand." The crowd around them gasped. The cadet's eyes narrowed. "You dare to defend her?" Daniel's voice was calm, but his words cut sharp. "Yes, I do. Because I know her worth." The alien girl's heart trembled. Nobody had ever said that out loud before, not in front of others, not against the whole academy. The cadet's fists clenched, but he did not strike. Instead, he spat on the ground. "Then you will share her fate," he said darkly. He turned and walked away, the others following, their eyes filled with disgust and warning. That night, Daniel and the alien girl sat alone in the quiet library. Her voice was soft, trembling. "You should not have done that," she whispered. "Now they will turn against you too." He looked at her with calm eyes. "Let them." She shook her head. "You don't understand. Once the council hears of this, they might even expel you." Daniel leaned back, his voice steady. if they wish to expel me for seeing the truth, then so be it. I will not abandon you." Her eyes widened, her chest tight. "Why?" she asked. "Why go this far for me?" He paused for a long moment, his gaze thoughtful. "Because I see strength in you that no one else sees. You survived years of rejection, and you are still here. That is more strength than most soldiers I've met." Her hands shook. Her heart felt like it was breaking and mending at the same time. Nobody had ever spoken such words to her. Not her family, not her teachers, not anyone. The days grew harsher. The alien cadets no longer whispered. They mocked openly. They pointed. They laughed. They called Daniel a fool and the girl a curse. Some even refused to train with him, claiming he was contaminated by her scent. One morning, when the alien girl walked into class, she found her desk covered in cruel words scratched into the wood. Cursed, unwanted, stay away. Her hands trembled as she touched the carvings. Her eyes burned. Daniel arrived. Moments later, his jaw tightened when he saw it. Without hesitation, he dragged the desk to the corner, lifted it, and carried it outside. He returned with another desk, set it down beside his own, and said quietly, "They will not decide where you belong." She stared at him, tears welling. His simple act burned brighter than any defense in that moment. She realized he was no longer just someone who stayed. He was someone who chose her. Again and again, but the pressure from the academy leaders grew. The council summoned Daniel. They warned him, "Stay away from her. She is a danger to unity. Humans cannot afford to side with an outcast." But Daniel stood tall. "What you call danger, I call precious. What you reject, I see as a gift." The council's silence was heavy. They dismissed him. But their eyes were filled with warning. The alien girl waited outside the chamber. When Daniel walked out, she searched his face. "What did they say?" she whispered. He gave her a small smile. "They don't understand, but that doesn't matter." Her chest tightened. She wanted to scream, to tell him to leave before it was too late. But the words died in her throat, because deep inside, a part of her wanted him to stay. And so, despite the world turning against them, despite the whispers, the warnings, and the threats, the human and the alien girl continued to sit together. A pair surrounded by rejection, yet bound by something stronger. What they did not know was that the storm had only just begun. Daniel could not rest. The council's warnings echoed in his mind. But they did not shake his resolve. Instead, they sparked a burning question inside him. Why did her scent feel so different to him? Why did it bring comfort instead of disgust? He began searching for answers in the Academy's archives. He spent long nights reading ancient texts, scanning medical files, and studying alien biology. The alien girl watched him from afar, unsure why he worked so hard for her. She wanted to tell him to stop, to protect himself. But every time she saw the fire in his eyes, the words never came. One evening, Daniel found something. A forgotten report buried in a dusty data file. It spoke of a rare genetic trait found in a small group of her species, a trait that caused the body to release a unique chemical aroma. Unlike any other, to most of her people, it caused discomfort, dizziness, even fear, but to humans, the report suggested, it awakened deep emotions tied to memory and comfort. Daniel's heart pounded as he read. He finally understood. Her scent was not poison. It was not a curse. It was a rare gift, a fragrance that triggered nostalgia in human minds, memories of warmth and belonging. The next day, he found her sitting alone beneath a tree in the academy garden. Her arms wrapped around her knees, her head low. "I found something," he said gently. She lifted her eyes slowly, tired and uncertain. "What did you find?" He sat down beside her, his voice calm but steady. "Your scent is not a curse. It's rare, yes, but it's not dangerous. it carries meaning. 4. Your people, it may feel strange, but for humans, it reminds us of home, a family, of comfort. Her lips parted, disbelief flooding her face. That can't be true, she whispered. He nodded. It is. I read the research myself. You are not broken. You are not cursed. You are rare. Tears welled in her golden eyes. For years, she had believed she was nothing but a burden. Now this human was telling her she was something precious. Her chest shook with emotions too heavy to name. Then why, she whispered, why did no one ever tell me this? Daniel's jaw tightened. Because people fear what they don't understand. It was easier for them to reject you than to learn the truth. The alien girl turned her face away, tears slipping down her cheeks. All her life, she had lived under a lie. She had carried shame that never belonged to her. Now the truth felt like light breaking into her darkness, but the peace did not. Last long word of Daniel's research spread. The cadets mocked him even more, claiming he had invented lies to protect her. The council summoned him again. Their voices were stern. Human soldier, your obsession is clouding your duty. She is still a threat to harmony. Daniel stood firm. She is not a threat, he said. She is a bridge. What you call dangerous is something my kind understands. She carries a scent that links worlds. If you cannot see that, it is your blindness, not her curse. The alien girl waited outside, trembling with fear. When he stepped out, she rushed to him. What did they say? She asked. His voice was calm but heavy. They refused to accept. The truth, her heart sank. Then what will you do? Daniel met her gaze. I will keep standing beside you. The following day, when she entered the hall, whispers rose again. But this time, Daniel stood with her. His presence was a shield. His voice steady as he said to the crowd, you reject her because you fear her scent, but that very scent carries beauty. Humans see it as a gift, and one day you will too. The cadets laughed, mocking him, a human defending a curse. How pathetic. But Daniel's words did not waver. History will remember who was blind and who was brave. The alien girl's heart pounded. She had lived in shadows for so long. But now, with every word Daniel spoke, she felt a spark of light inside her. She was still afraid, still unsure, but for the first time, she felt that her existence had meaning. As they left the hall together, she whispered, why do you fight? So hard for me. Daniel glanced at her, his voice soft, because someone must. And because when I breathe your scent, I remember that even in a cold universe, there are things worth holding on to. Her steps faltered, her heart aching with a mix of pain and hope. She whispered back, then maybe I'm not cursed after all. Daniel smiled faintly. No, he said, you are not cursed. You are rare. And you are precious. And in that moment, for the first time in her life, the alien girl believed it. The academy could no longer ignore what was happening. The whispers had grown too loud, the stares too sharp, and the tension too heavy. Everywhere Daniel and the alien girl went, they were followed by eyes filled with suspicion and disgust. The alien girl felt it more than anyone. Every step she took was like walking through fire. The insults grew bolder. No longer whispered behind hands, but shouted openly in corridors. Cursed one, keep your stench away. Human fool. Each word pierced her heart, yet beside her. Daniel walked with steady steps, never flinching, never leaving, but the pressure mounted. One morning the council made their decision. They summoned both of them into the grand hall. The chamber was vast, filled with high-ranking officials, cadets, and teachers. The air was heavy with judgment. The council leader rose, his voice echoing through the room. This has gone far enough, he declared. His eyes burned as they landed on the alien girl. Your presence has caused division, fear, and unrest. You are to be removed from this academy immediately. Her breath caught in her chest. Her knees felt weak. She had feared this moment her entire life, yet hearing the words spoken aloud was worse than any nightmare. She lowered her head, shame burning her soul. But Daniel stepped forward before she could speak. His voice was steady but filled with fire. "You are wrong," he said. The hall erupted in gasps. The council leader glared. "Do you dare defy?" The council Daniel did not flinch. "Yes," he answered. "Because this decision is built on fear, not truth. You call her cursed. Yet she is not. You fear her scent, but for my kind, it is a gift, a memory of home. She is not a danger. She is a bridge between species." The chamber shook with murmurs. Some scoffed, some whispered, and some looked uncertain. The alien girl lifted her eyes slightly, tears blurring her vision. Never had anyone spoken for her like this. Not before the council, not before an entire hall of her people. The council. Leader's face twisted in anger. "Your words are foolish, human. She is rejected by her own kind. How can one outsider claim to know her worth?" Daniel's voice rose, stronger, because worth is not decided by numbers or fear. It is decided by truth, and the truth is that you fear what you cannot understand. Humans do not fear it. Humans see it as something precious. The alien girl's chest shook. She wanted to speak, to defend herself, but her voice was trapped. Daniel's words wrapped around her like a shield, stronger than any armor she had ever known. But the council was not moved. "Your defiance will not change our decision," the leader snapped. "She must leave, and if you continue this foolishness, you will share her fate." Gasps rippled through the hall. The alien girl's heart stopped. She turned to Daniel quickly, whispering in panic, "No, don't, please. You can still save yourself. Leave me. I don't want you to suffer because of me." But Daniel shook his head. His eyes locked on hers. Unshaken, "I will not abandon you." The crowd erupted in chaos. Some mocked, some shouted insults, and some demanded the council enforce its decision. The storm of rejection had reached its peak. The alien girl trembled, shrinking under the weight of their hatred. But Daniel stepped forward, spreading his arms wide in front of her. His voice boomed across the chamber. Enough, the hall fell silent. His words cut through the storm like thunder. "You call her a curse, but I see her as a blessing. You call her poison, but I call her precious. You reject her because she is different. But humanity has always found beauty in what others fear." His voice carried across the hall, steady and unyielding. "What you cast aside, we humans hold close. What you call shame, we call memory, and I will not stand by while you destroy someone who has done nothing but exist." The alien girl's tears fell freely now. Her heart was breaking and mending at the same time. For so long, she had been voiceless, invisible, unwanted. But now, one human had given her a voice. One human had made the world see her in a way it never had. The council was silent, their faces hard. They would not admit defeat, but they could not silence him either. The storm of rejection still raged, but in the center of it, Daniel stood, tall, unmovable, unafraid, as they left the chamber together. The alien girl whispered through her tears, "Why do you do this? Why fight so hard for me?" Daniel looked at her with steady eyes. "Because you are worth fighting for. And because sometimes one voice is enough to challenge the storm." Her chest tightened, her steps unsteady, but deep within her. Where there had once only been shame and sorrow, a spark of strength began to grow. For the first time, she felt that maybe, just maybe, she was not alone against the storm. The alien girl thought the storm would never end. The council had rejected her. The cadets had mocked her, and the academy had turned its back on her. Yet, in the middle of that storm, one figure had stood tall, refusing to move, refusing to let her face the world alone. Daniel's defiance spread through the academy like fire. Some whispered that he was foolish. Others called him reckless. But a few began to wonder if his words carried truth. Could it be possible that what they feared was not a curse, but a gift? The alien girl felt the weight of every stare as she walked through the halls beside him, but for the first time, she did not bow her head. His presence gave her courage. His voice had planted a seed inside her heart. A seed of belief that maybe she was not what they said she was. One evening, when the sun bled gold across the academy grounds, Daniel found her sitting alone on the steps. Her arms wrapped around herself, her eyes fixed on the horizon. He sat beside her in silence for a while, then finally asked, "What are you thinking?" Her voice was soft, trembling. "All my life, I thought I was cursed. I thought I was a burden, unwanted by everyone. But you changed that." She turned her golden eyes toward him, shimmering with tears. "Why, Daniel? Why do you see something in me that no one else does?" He smiled faintly. "Because humans are strange like that." He said, "We find beauty in the cracks. We find comfort in the things others fear. When I smell your scent, I don't feel poison. I feel memory. I feel home. And no amount of rejection can change that." Her breath caught. Her chest ached with emotions she could barely contain. For the first time, she felt the warmth of being seen, not as a curse, not as an outcast, but as someone precious. Days passed, and the academy grew restless. The council's decision had not silenced Daniel. His refusal to leave her side had shaken something deep within the community. A few cadets, curious and uncertain, approached from a distance. They did not dare sit close, but they no longer ran away. The alien girl noticed it too. The storm of rejection had not vanished, but cracks were forming in its walls, small, fragile cracks where light could begin to seep through. One day, during a training session, the alien cadet who had once mocked them most stood before Daniel. His voice was sharp, human. "You risk everything for her. Tell us why." The hall grew silent, all eyes fixed on him. Daniel looked around. His voice calm but strong, "Because she is not a curse. She is proof that what one species fears may be what another treasures. You reject her scent, but to me it is memory, comfort, and hope. Humanity has always survived because we look at the unwanted and see something worth keeping." His words hung in the air, heavy, unshakable. Some scoffed, but others shifted uneasily. A few looked at the alien girl with something new in their eyes, not disgust, not mockery, but thought. Later that night, the alien girl sat in her small room, her hands pressed over her heart. She whispered his words again and again. Worth keeping. No one had ever said that to her before, and now those words gave her the strength to breathe deeper, stand taller, and believe in herself. The next morning, as she walked into the dining hall, she felt the familiar silence fall over the room. For a moment, her chest tightened with old fear. But then Daniel stepped beside her. His hand brushed against hers lightly. Grounding her, she took a breath and walked forward. This time she did not stop. She did not shrink. She walked to her seat and sat down. The whispers came, but softer now, uncertain. And for the first time, one cadet did not move away. He stayed where he was, shifting uncomfortably, but refusing to flee. The alien girl's heart trembled. It was a small thing, but to her, it felt like the beginning of something greater. As the days turned into weeks, the storm of rejection began to weaken. The academy had not fully accepted her, but she was no longer completely alone. Daniel's defiance had forced them to look at her in a new light, and though most still kept their distance, some began to wonder if perhaps the human had been right all along. One evening, as stars shimmered above, the alien girl stood with Daniel at the edge of the training field. She looked at him with quiet wonder. You changed. Everything, she whispered. Without you, I would still believe I was cursed. Daniel shook his head gently. No, you always had worth. I only reminded you of it. Tears filled her eyes, but this time they were not of sorrow. They were of release, of hope, of finally believing that she had a place in the universe. She looked at him and whispered, "Thank you." And as the night wrapped around them, she realized something she had never dared to believe before. She was no longer an outcast. She was someone precious. Her scent, once hated and feared, had become the bridge between two worlds.